Welcome to the Human ROI. My name is Garen Sproul, and today we are talking with my friend, the guy, Mr. James English. If you find yourself in the corporate arena and you've been working it and you find that you always have to put on this personality to go to work, you got to put on your LinkedIn self, but you know that that's not really you. There may be a part of you that's being hidden, and you know it. And I want to explore how this gentleman navigated those waters to being the authentic, open gentleman that we're learning of right now. So this is going to be a cool interview today, and I'm glad you're here and tapping in.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Garen. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My name is James English once again. My current role is CEO of English Solutions Group, a company birthed recently, but I believe called and commissioned at the right time. As Garen mentioned, I've spent the majority of my professional life in the corporate world. I'm sure we'll get into some of the roots of how I ended up there, but it's been an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, although I recognize that through that 20-year journey, never being comfortable was one of the things that I reflect on the most. And so as I look at myself now and I evaluate how I ended up here, there's so much I'm still learning from. And so as we've talked, we talked about doing this interview. For me, it's a true reintroduction of myself to make sure that I am fully leaning in to the opportunity and the moment that is at hand.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that I had this like a smirk on my face, this smile on my face, and it's because I'm excited for this moment. I'm excited for this moment. You'll see why. So, James.
Yeah.
All right. I think we need to let people know like how you're showing up right now, because a lot of people are learning of you right now.
Yeah.
Right. You've been doing your thing for the past 20 years behind the scenes, and I think that was kind of akin to your personality.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're showing up on social media, right? We're talking about it. We're making these videos, and I remember that, let's just say even 2 years ago, if you walked into my space and you saw that I was making a video, you'd be like, there you go, Garen. Making a video. Like, what, you gonna be on TikTok now? Okay. And now all of a sudden now you are out there. And there's been such a transition, man.
Yeah.
Such a transition within a short period of time though.
Yeah.
That I think people should hear about. And I'm curious as to even how you are handling your. Anyways, talk to me.
Yeah. Shoot, man. There's so much there to consider. It's really truly about the season and the timing. I believed coming up through school, coming up through college, out of college, that I was cut from the cloth of the traditional corporate guy.
Okay.
Grew up in a very, conservative family, Caribbean family, great values, great community, and I was always the one, and I've been told this even from before I can remember. James, you were always the methodical, disciplined, consistent, predictable, you didn't give any trouble kid. And I recognize even as I went through my formative years, the let's say rebellion years, that I was still even in that stage, the predictable, kind of thoughtful person.
Yeah.
And so as I went to college and I recognized that my original intention of medicine switched over to something different, it started a period of learning and a journey to really figure out where I fit. I knew I could, I did well enough in school to feel comfortable understanding the theory and the concepts.
Okay.
And so it was really about, all right, now where am I going to go apply this? And so, obviously all the things that, Christian families do, pray, think, and kind of take those steps. And in doing so, I put on extra layers of protection, or just basically continue to insulate myself and my personality, so that I I would not necessarily, I would never be tempted or compelled to move off of what I felt was my calling at the time, and I can unpack this more.
Yeah.
And resist what I thought were things that would waste time and not optimize the opportunity that I had. I was always the youngest in the room. I was usually one of the few people of color in the room. Mm-hmm. I always had to feel like I was 10 or 15 years older than I really was. And so the things that define youth and define those formative years of life and career, I never felt an opportunity to really embrace. So as you talk about social media, man, it's one of those things that's coming later in our kind of early first half of life. And I've seen people, lean into it. You've leaned into it. Obviously very different personalities, but you leaned into it. You've talked about what it's done for you and how you connect with various audiences. Yep. And for me, the only audience that mattered was my family, my parents, friends, close friends in circles. And that was really it. And
would you include your job?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I would. And so because I represented those companies, and by the way, I did well. I did well in those spaces. I mean, even as I look back and think about the ups and downs of the 20-year journey, you can't argue that I didn't do well.
Sure.
So, but I felt like to keep that persona going, I had to push other things away. And whether I had interest in it or not, whether I, felt like, hey, let me check this out.
Curious. No.
Yeah, curiosity was a bit stifled. So as I think now, very early into this new assignment, new phase of life, and I think about how now that I'm representing myself, how I extend myself to places where people may care about my story. People may care about the insights that I have.
Sure. And
short of going out and trying to meet them all one at a time, how do I become that credible and authentic person? And so that's pushed me into the social media space. And to be honest, I followed your lead, right? We've been watching your videos for years, so I know how you pulled it together. I have some behind the scenes insight. And so really embracing that, really saying, James, try this, man. Try this, because obviously on the road constantly now, trying to build and develop a business, a lot going through my head, a lot of experiences there. I'm not really a journaler, all right? I'm not the guy that wakes up every day and writes in a journal.
Yeah.
So how can I capture and not waste this moment? And I feel like these videos have helped me to do that. It's helped me capture salient moments, salient points, things that resonate with me, things that have helped me in a way that saves it for posterity and may reach an audience that I may not even know exists.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate it from the standpoint that the purity of it. Right, there are people out there who want to be influencers, so they're always waking up and having to position the camera in a certain way and cutting it and turning it around, and then so they're not really doing a thing. Yeah. They're producing something for the camera. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And what I hear you talking about is capturing the moments. Right. And Gary Vee talks about this whole idea of, don't create content, just capture what's going on in the world.
Absolutely.
Right?
Man, absolutely.
The world will tell you whether or not you're interesting or not.
Correct.
So going into it this way, both of us, it's kind of like we're not trying to sell anything.
No.
We're either serving a community, and they'll bubble to the top. They'll show up, right? Or we're capturing these moments, and the right person at the right time will come around and say thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So right now, again, like you mentioned, you're out there, you're capturing these moments, you're not a journaler. I hear you. You mentioned early on, you talked about your personality and what it was like, and growing up in a conservative home, a Christian home, all of that. And then you said once you got the job, it's like you put on another layer. Yep. I think of it like when you go up to when you go into a coal area and you have to put on layers, right? So you had your own layers, which is your personality, or at least the one that you believed you needed to have, right?
Yep.
And now getting a job out of college, you put on another layer that insulated you even more.
Yeah.
So I believe like the skin level was like James,
right?
And then you had on a wife beater, right? You had on that shirt first, which was probably what you believed you needed to be,
Correct.
Because of the environment that you grew up in.
Yeah.
And then the shirt was probably the first job or the first, or what your peers along through college thought. I mean, there's all these layers, man.
There is.
How did you, I'm going to go from like now going backwards. How were you able to shed all of that to say, you know what, let me tap into that curiosity that I held from years ago that I never really tapped into? Like, how did you tap into it so quickly? Because it's only been a short period of time since you've been out here.
That's a great question, man. The honest truth, and I've thought a lot about this, it was always there. It was always there. And it was, while I thought I was insulating myself, what I was really doing was actually insulating myself. And you have to think of insulation two ways.
Okay.
You can insulate by blocking something from coming in, or you can insulate by keeping what comes in from getting out. And what I recognized was I was keeping what was coming in from getting out, meaning the experiences I had professionally, the challenges I faced, man, and just the insecurities that I battled my whole professional career. All of those types of things blended into who James was.
Yeah.
And that created a well of a lot of things: emotion, experiences, wisdom, perspectives that I have recognized in myself the minute I took off the insulation.
Yeah.
Who I was at the start of the journey and who I am now was transformed by everything that I held in and didn't let escape. Not letting those moments and those things that happen to you lose their effective power is what I was doing. And I didn't realize it until this last push I had, which I truly believe was God led.
Yeah.
And you know, Chris and I, my wife, we reflect on this often. Dude, it wasn't more than 24 hours.
Where you pivot. Yeah.
It was literally 24 hours. And within 48 hours, we had a business, a company, we had a logo, we had our first client, and so when you reflect on that, man, and then you see how that has just ballooned and blossomed and developed over these last few months, man, it goes to show that when you're ready, you're ready. And if all of those experiences you had, good, bad, or indifferent, are truly unpacked and stored away so that when the time is right, they can spring to action in a way that propels you forward. That's what happened, man. And again, I'm in the infancy of truly understanding it, man. But at least at this point, that's my current reflection.
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was thinking back of all the years where I brought my personality to our friendship. You brought your personality to our friendship, and I have learned to navigate around your personality. And for those out there in the audience, I'll let you know, there are times when we would invite James over to our home for lunch, right? And I would find myself paying attention to him, right? Because I was waiting for that trigger where either he gets a phone call or he has something happens where it's like, he's gonna leave. And it's like, I want the brother to stay, right? Just to hang out, just kick it for a while, but he's gone. It's like a time limit has hit and he's gone. I remember our phone calls. You're abroad, you're in India, you're traveling all across the world. We would jump onto a quick call. I would have some challenges that I kind of like presented to you, and you would give your honest opinion. And I would sometimes record our conversations just to be able to capture the wisdom that I felt was coming from this guy, but it was coming so fast and I wasn't able to digest it. So I would have to kind of like jump into it later on. But I would capture these moments and then learn what I needed to learn, but then you're already gone, right? And then now you're in this position where you started your own business, you're out there, you're still doing some traveling.
Oh yeah.
Right? You're about to jump on a plane again in a few hours.
Yeah.
But this time around though, there's a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right? There's a different perspective. We pull out our cameras, we're recording, we're capturing the moments, which was something that you probably wouldn't have done in the past, right? Whether that was because you felt it wasn't appropriate for your role, or you didn't want to let out a portion of you into the world, seeing that you were in certain environments. And I believe that there are a lot of people, there are probably people just like you out there who are struggling with this, where you're working in an environment right now and your personality you believe isn't allowed to shine. And you may be absolutely correct that it's not accepted in the workplace, your personality. And what we're learning, what I've learned here, now being the founder of the Human ROI, is that every moment has a place for our personalities.
Yep.
Every moment has a place for our personalities. And a lot of us, we miss the moments because we feel we have to keep that layer on.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you, even as you now interact with maybe some of the same people that you interacted with in the past,
Yeah.
but now from this new platform? And when I say a platform, I'm not talking about from a social standpoint, but I mean your new position in life, your new the way that you express yourself, the way that you feel about yourself, your authentic self out there in the world. What's fueling that? What's keeping you being you?
I think the shortest answer to that is I represent myself now.
Okay.
So what I put out there, what I share, what I showcase, whether it's my website, whether it's these videos, whether it's a public speaking engagement, whether it's working or doing business development with potential clients, I'm now representing me. So there is another level and layer of authenticity that I now push forward because it's a reflection of the values that I hold and who I am. And for the people that I've worked with in the past who are now seeing me in this light, I've heard two things. We're proud of you, and we always saw it in you. So the recognition that that the step that I've taken where I no longer represent company A or company B or C, but I represent James English, I represent English Solutions Group, I represent a lot of things that are all attached to who I am as a person. So now as I have an opportunity to reintroduce myself to this space, or to the people that I used to know, and introduce myself to a whole new audience, the authenticity that you and I often talk about is it, and the freedom to do that has been one of the most liberating experiences of my life. And again, this is where Garen will tell you is the biggest pivot for me, because it's not that I've changed fundamentally inside, it's that I'm now willing to share who I really am. And I know that sounds a little strange, but the reality is many people go through so much in their life, and they build up all of these, all of these thoughts and perspectives that they just never get a chance to share. And having an ability to do that from a place of ownership and control and freedom, man, it is transformative. That does not mean you have to be an entrepreneur to do this. It means you have to make a personal commitment that who you are, the values you believe in, and the perspectives that you carry have value in the world.
Yes.
And putting it out there in a way that represents you best is the goal.
Yeah. So two things. One, you mentioned that they said they saw it in you. They always saw it in you. And I'm curious, right? Give you a chance to answer this. I'm curious as to what it is they saw. What it is they saw.
Yeah. So
what you believe they saw.
So what they've shared is, James, you've always been somebody who listens and at the right times shares something that gets through the armor. It hits me where I need it. And you may not even always know you're doing it, James, but it's who you are. You've obviously been a good leader. You've always taken care of people. All that stuff is kind of just baked into the pie. But the things that really stood out are your intentional focus on taking in what people are saying, taking in the experiences, and putting out a consistent, authentic, genuine version of who you are, including people. And so the consistent, authentic, genuine, that's James, and that's who James has always been.
Always been, okay. Yeah.
The one-on-one interactions has been where I thought my ministry was. If somebody was an employee and they had a chance to work with me and we have a chance to talk and relate and I get to know you, We share, we talk, I help support you. That has always been great, and I've enjoyed that. Stepping into this space where we're recording it now, and I have no idea who's on the other side of this camera.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a different world, man. But they see the transformation, and even though we're not together anymore working, the fact that they can still watch these videos, they've said, I feel like it was when we were.
Yeah. So they still see the connection from you of past.
It's like it feels still like you're talking straight to me.
Here at the Human ROI, we really go in and help people to like tease out their greatness.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like that song that we learned as kids: hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. If I were some of those individuals who were looking at you now, and if I noticed a shift or a change in who you're showing up as being right now and what I experienced of you in the past, I would feel slighted. I would feel as though I missed a portion of you that I could have benefited from. Like I would have felt that you did not hold sacred the moment that we shared together in a way that, man, I needed you.
Yeah.
I needed you back then. And here you are showing up for the world right now. Now, granted, everything happens at the right time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we believe that, James showing up for you in this moment, this personality, this version of him that you're experiencing, it is perfectly the right time for where you are in your life. Like, believe that.
Yep.
And then there's some of us who might feel slighted. I think that a lot of companies do their moments in time with their employees a disservice when they create a culture where people aren't able to be themselves. I say that loosely because I know and I recognize that there are a lot of people who are still developing, and they may not actually know how to bring their unique personality into a workspace in a way that's productive.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, like when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it doesn't have to be about keeping it real, but it's like, what is that unique piece of you that is so perfect for this moment in time where you serve? And I think people don't recognize that their responsibility is to serve.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They think that it's just, well, this is who I am, like accept me. But there's a serving component that is in all of us. And I think if we respect that, then the moments are right when we're together.
Yeah, man. Well said. The idea that the corporate identity and your identity have to be both managed as you go through your career is one that is a real thing. Like it's a real thing. So, you know, if you have desires to grow in your career, you have desires to, you know, climb up the ladder of your company, there are some things you will have to acknowledge, right? And some things you will have to manage within yourself to make sure that you continue to show up the way the company needs you to.
Yeah.
Because a company is a person. And all the people in it are the personalities. And they work really, really hard to keep an alignment that prioritizes the value of the company.
Okay.
It's no different in the country,
Sure,
right?
sure.
There's a big push to align people in a way that maintains the integrity of what people believe the country represents. So, so finding your voice in that space is something to carefully consider. And it doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means you got to be pretty clear about what you're really passionate about and the parts of your personality that you want to show. And here's another thing. You mentioned keeping it real goes wrong. One of the biggest things I think, challenges I think we face as humans as we go through this, and I believe you also tackle this in your the Human ROI, is this idea of how I respond and react to things that happen to me. And what I do with the energy that it generates within me.
Yeah.
Do I lash it out from a perspective of I've been a victim of something that I had no control over, and now I play that card. So my reactions are justified because I have been taken advantage of. Or do I show up in that experience where something bad may happen to me, and I absorb that in, and I start to think, how am I affected, and how do I transform myself so so that the energy I put back out is something positive and productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping it real just means that on the inside, when I respond and I react, I'm authentic and I'm showing up the way I want to be best perceived. I don't show up to rectify the wrong. I show up to demonstrate my strength, to demonstrate my resilience, to demonstrate my growth. And so my response should confuse my attacker, not get them to say, I got him.
Yeah.
Because your response justified their incursion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how we show up, what we do with the energy that of all the experiences that come in and are constantly beating us down, demonstrates to us, if we truly are looking in the mirror first, how far am I on my journey? And what do I have to do next? And brother, that's exactly what's happened to me. I mean, you know a little bit of the details about what's been going on recently. And I have had to look in the mirror many times and ask myself, how do you truly feel?
Yeah.
How do you truly feel? Again, blessed within 24 hours to be back up and running. And that's just a little bit of who I am, resilience and what I strongly believe in. But if I'm honest, every other day, time is spent thinking, James, how do you really feel, man? Like if you were to run into those people again, what would you say? If you were to get a text or an email or a phone call, what would you say? James, do you think they feel bad about what happened? Do you think they are having their own sets of anxieties and sleepless nights because of what happened to a person who effectively didn't do anything? How do they feel?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've been playing this game where I'm shifting around, and what I always come back to is this. If I were to see them, I would give them a hug and a handshake.
Confusion.
If I were to see them, I would say, thank you for helping me get to this new journey in life. If I were to see them, I would say, how are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you okay? Like, I recognize you're going through a lot. I recognize you're under a lot of pressure.
Man.
I recognize that if you don't have an outlet, if you haven't leaned into your authentic self and you're dealing with all that stuff, and you don't have an outlet, oh man.
Yeah.
That's misery.
That is.
So what may appear to be a one-sided fight.
Listen, I love everything that you're saying here in this moment, right? You talked about, your response. How do you want to be perceived to your audience? And it should confuse them. And you giving them a hug or asking how are you doing with no animosity, nothing about what happened in the past. None. Confusion.
100%.
Right? And you're not playing chess, right? You're just consciously being yourself.
No, 100%. And so that right there, Garen, is the hardest part.
What is?
The last component of what you just said. Meaning, when I'm doing it, I'm not playing chess. It's genuine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I genuinely hold no animosity.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say it's because you've bounced back that quickly?
No.
Okay.
No. Because the bounce back isn't guaranteed.
Sure, it's not.
The bounce back has its own struggles and challenges.
It does.
The old way was the easier way.
Yeah.
Right? So no. It's because I genuinely know and empathize with what it means to have all those jackets on. And I know if someone isn't embracing the journey of development, if they're not embracing their internal kind of clock and understanding of what makes them tick and what makes them go and what makes them evolve, they have no sense of that.
Yeah.
And the only thing they see as evidence of life, that life is going in the right direction, is a promotion or a paycheck or a title or I work for this company or that company. If that's the only measuring stick, life is hell. It is hell. Because on any given day, all of that can be taken away from you. And then what do you have? An empty shell.
Man.
Which is what you always had. But you didn't know it. Because it was filled with stuff that didn't really have any staying power or value.
Yeah.
But you didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
So once you start to embrace this idea of this internal transformation, people can take what they want away from you. It doesn't change
Who you are.
and your ability to genuinely seek to empathize.
Yeah.
With why they would even try to treat you like that to begin with. The fragility of their approach is the most. It's a prison cell, man. It's so it locks you into such a small, narrow mindset that at the end of the day, here's where I've gotten. I'm actually grateful they have that job, because if they didn't, they may not be here. If they didn't, they may not know what to do.
I know what you mean.
If they didn't, how would they show up for their family?
Yeah.
So you know what? Their evolution goes as far as their relationship and inner working takes them. Fantastic. Mine is doing the same. But I've been trusted to go on a journey that is different than theirs. That may take me to a different place than theirs takes me. Them. But I know in my heart that my growth and development and the ups and downs of the 20 years and the experiences, no matter what they were, have prepared me for this moment where I can look at these folks and say, how are you doing?
Question for the person out there who is saying, I hear you talking now, James, right? Yeah. It sounds good now that you're on the other side.
Yeah.
But a year ago, when you were in that room leading those meetings, now granted, the environment was different, but were you this? I mean, because you just said a lot of powerful things, right? And somebody could feel like, look at him. Look at him.
Was I this?
Did you recognize it? Did you know? Was there any kind of barometer, any kind of gauge to even show that this was actually inside of you, right?
No, I mean, evidence. So last couple of years have been a lot of just work. I mean, it hasn't been the greatest situations because, again, I never felt comfortable. 20 years of feeling uncomfortable is a long time. However, I've been working on this.
Okay.
And it's that practice until you need it mentality, right? I got called into the game, right? I learned the theory, read the books, practice here and there until you get called into the game. And now how do you show up?
How do you show up? Yep.
And one of the things that I wrestled with very early was, James, you know a lot. You studied a lot. Are you ready to actually put it to use? Can you follow the advice you've given all them years?
Yeah.
Right? And do you owe it to all the people that have invested in you to prove them somewhat right, to be validated, right? Understanding this is all new for them too, because they all saw me. They all knew Corporate James.
Okay, yep.
Corporate James was the guy that was going to take care of everybody because he had worked and provided and done all these things, and that was the version of James everybody had grown comfortable with.
Yeah, that's what you showed us.
It's what I knew.
Okay, right.
It's what I knew. Have I always been kind of curious and interested in business? Yeah, I mean, I had a little business here and there over the years, nothing major, nothing serious. But I believe as I look back on that, all of those things were little drips, right, of progress. Yeah, just evidence and progress to say, okay, lesson learned here, lesson learned here, lesson learned here, lesson learned here, wrapped in a 20-year bubble of you see what it takes to run a well-run organization, profitable organization, high-yielding organization.
Yeah.
All that's in my head.
Yeah.
All this in my head. And so in my company of few, I have, 12, $20 billion corporate muscles.
Okay. Yeah.
In a business of a few.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of torque.
Of course, exactly.
A lot of torque behind.
So. When you don't have all those other things, when you're freer and lighter because you're not wearing all those coats.
Yeah.
And you've got the mentality and understanding of what it takes to win and be successful.
Yeah.
At scale.
At scale. Yeah. And now you bring it into.
It's concentrated.
Yeah, it is. I see that.
You've removed the unnecessary, and you've taken the necessary and valuable, and shrunk it down into this very powerful package.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that. And for people who are out there right now who are finding themselves in the corporate world for a number of years and they've gotten comfortable or they're fearful now because there's a lot going on in the country, right? They're fearful now that they may lose their jobs, right?
Yeah.
So that security blanket that you thought you had, you're now finding that you're worried. What message do you have for them? Anything you can share?
Yeah, man. Give yourself grace. I'll start with that. The emotions that you will feel, the insecurities that you will feel, failure, it will feel like failure. That will absolutely cross your mind. You've got to give yourself grace. Take a beat, take a pause, take a breath. Recognize your heart is still beating. You can still move all your fingers and toes.
Yeah.
And that's evidence that where you are was not by accident. Stay in that moment as long as you possibly can. It's a minute, 10 minutes, an hour, a day. Stay in that mindset. Force every other pending, circling thought out. And give yourself some grace. The second thing, find a resource to help you start unpacking and finding a starting point of your internal journey.
Yeah.
That starting point is different for everybody because we've all been through different things. We're all experiencing this new reality at different times, at different levels, at different financial situations, right? Marital situations. You need to rebase where you are and start building a plan of internal growth with intention. Do not let things happen to you without there being an honest internal plan of intentional growth.
Okay.
Because then all those experiences are wasted.
I'm listening.
They're wasted because you have not been ready to receive.
Yeah.
You've not been ready to recognize the blessings
Yeah.
that are passing you by
Yeah.
and the things to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because your internal plan isn't aligned. It's not fully developed.
Yeah.
It's not queued up. You haven't re-baselined based on where you are now. And that baselining concept is because at some point in the past, life forces us to baseline at points in time. But those gaps, we forget. We get caught up in life and we just say, okay, whatever's happened to me has happened to me. Yeah. My wins outweigh my losses. I went from a smaller house to a bigger house. I used to make this and now I make that. And so clearly I'm doing something right. That is not a representation of what I'm talking about because all those things have just been pulled away. So now where do you stand in the continuum? Where is your baseline?
Yeah.
And then intentional growth. Third, last thing, find an accountability partner. Find someone, it could be someone going through the same thing. It could be someone who you just trust and know and who feel like knows you, perhaps sometimes even better than you know yourself. And lean into them for in the moments where you're not quite sure what to say or do. Because they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And it will happen. At first, it's going to be very frequent and frequent and frequent. And then over time, you'll notice, wait a minute, it's less frequent. What's going on? What's going on? And all that's happening is you're getting stronger.
Stronger. Yeah.
Right? Your internal cognitive muscles of how you react to things, your body and mind will realize I've survived some things. Yeah. And so once you start surviving more and more and more and keep defying the odds and the fears that are trying to always oppress you, you will start to gain internal true confidence that is not factory made.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't come off an assembly line.
No.
And so the inside out push of that energy keeps you going.
Yeah.
But you have to acknowledge it takes maintenance. It takes a connection. You've got to have folks who can help pour into you, and you can help pour out as well. And once you start getting that done, man, it's transformative. But you got to start by giving yourself grace.
Yeah. Everything you shared there is so helpful and so spot on, so on point. I recall the moment when I was going through my internal battles, and I didn't let the audience know. I was standing on a stage in Michigan, speaking to a group of individuals, real estate agents, and so forth. And as I walked off the stage, a gentleman and his wife walked up to me and they said, "I have a book to give to you." I don't know why, but something told me I should give it to you. And that book was Stunned by Grace. I was confused. I'll be honest. I was like, I wasn't talking about anything spiritual. Why are you giving me I don't know, sir. I think you need to have this book. The best book ever.
Yeah.
When you talk about a reset, it gave me a total reset as to how I look at myself, how I speak to myself in these really intense moments. And it allowed me, I still have the book. I've shared the book with several people. It has allowed me to move forward in a powerful way. And even when I stumble, I remember grace. I get to reset again and keep moving forward. Yeah. This has been really, really helpful, man. This has been really, really helpful. And for people who are out there right now who are comfortably in their positions, what I'm hearing you say is pay attention to the skills that you're learning along the way, because it's like you don't know when you're going to need them.
No.
Right? Pay attention to them, honor them. And even though life is happening, because businesses have to make decisions sometimes on a dime.
Yep.
Right? Your ability to mine your skill sets over the years, starting with giving yourself grace, helps you to now reset for this new environment that you're stepping into.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree, man. And what I'll leave with this kind of thought, as I think we're wrapping up here, is this concept of many times we focus on outcomes, right? So we, in our minds, I believe that success or comfort or this ideal state, it looks like this. And we in that are seeking an outcome, right? When I go through a challenging time, my mind tells me what the result would have to be for me to not feel challenged anymore. So I'm aiming to a spot. Okay. I'm aiming for a thing. Yep. Right? I'm having a financial crisis, something else going on, and I need this. I need this amount of money. I need this amount. And what has been on my heart has been, you got to turn your mindset from looking for an outcome to look for resolution.
Expound, if you don't mind.
An outcome is very specific. An outcome is binary. I have a problem. I just need to get over the problem. Yeah. Resolution is a 360-degree recognition of there's an environment around me, things I know and I don't know that are in play. And I'm just seeking for all of those things to work together to resolve something. Yeah. And that resolution may look 100 different ways. It's not an outcome. Because again, an outcome, I'm thinking I need this to solve that. Yeah. Resolution is that needs to be addressed, and I just need to, where is it going to come from? I'm up, down, side, like where is it going to come from? So the concept of resolution, the concept of really drawing in and looking at the challenges and problems inevitably your audience will face. And say to myself, okay, all right, got it. I lost my job. I lost my income. I need another job, right? Running into issues with my kids, right? I need to figure out how to get them into a different school, right? So we're constantly like trying to plot and not think, the challenges we're facing. Stop. Give yourself grace. Open up to what's really going on. And start to broaden your perspective to resolution. Yeah. And resolution may not change the ultimate consequence, but you'll be changed. And if that's the only outcome.
Fantastic.
Right?
Fantastic. And the reason why this hits so deeply is, and you know this story, man, when my business coach, he reached out to me, the first conversation he asked was, Garen, how much money do you want to make? And I said, I just want to be a better human. And we chuckle about this because you would tell me, Garen, you didn't even realize what you were asking for. Because everything that has happened since then has been about that resolution that you're talking about. There's never been A to B point where I'm looking at, okay, if I get here, I'm good. It's just always been this constant evolution, man, of this change, and I'm growing and I'm growing. And I see that whether it's my physical appearance or just my mental abilities, everything is growing. The types of conversations I'm having, how I'm feeling about things. You mentioned feelings earlier on in the conversation, and every time you said that, I had chills that went through my body because I knew of a time where I didn't want to interact with my feelings, right? I mean, I was having some, and I would only like carve out some that I was familiar with, and I would run with those. But the other ones that were always knocking on the door saying, "Hey, Garen, pay attention to me," I wasn't willing to sit with.
Yeah.
The fact that I can sit with them right now, and I'm still the masculine man that you see before you, like, that's an evolution of a person, of a human. Right. And I'm growing and I'm interacting with people, and then I end up with 2 daughters.
Yep.
Right? Where all of this plays out so well.
Yep.
And they continue to help me to change and soften my edges, and which helps me to be even more effective when I'm speaking to audiences here and there. It's an evolution, man. And everything that you said there really, really does resonate. And it's like, there's one thing I want you guys to know, man. Having a circle of friends that you can grow in this way with is 100% necessary. You will go through life. Life will continue to change, and it will continue to come at you. And I love the fact that we have such a bond, such a friendship, and the other peers who are part of our group, man.
Yep.
How we all give to this group. We bring our ideas, we bring the wisdom that we've learned from our professions over the years, and we put it into this pot and we go at it. We don't allow anyone off the hook.
Yep.
Right? We don't just solve a problem. There's always a question that we have to answer, a deep-seated question that makes you pause, because we understand that there's this that's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that you would share with others about creating that group? How do you create a group, one like which we have, and it took intentionality, right?
It did. It did. He hates when I do this, but he hated me, man. Garen used to hate me, and it's something we chuckle about now because it was so long ago. But the reality is, we're not made for alone. We're not made to be alone, man. I mean, that's just a critical, I think, completely misunderstood part of this. We're made for community. And you talk about locking yourself into these cages, right? Like not having a cellmate.
Yeah. We're going through some hard times together. That's a really good one. I like that.
Not having, and again, let me be clear. This isn't always something you burden your spouse with solely, right? Like, we believe, and we talk about this often, we believe in balance. There's a relationship you have with your spouse. They should know, what you're going through, what you're dealing with. That there is an authenticity to that relationship that's needed.
Yeah.
But acknowledge that there's other needs as well. Yeah. And so finding people who know you, who you can trust to help fill it. And I'm not talking about 100 people. I'm talking about literally a handful or less that are there, thick or thin. Yeah. Is so beneficial to the journey. Yeah. And so if you don't have those today, or it's something we talked about, if your way of interaction with people has not created depth, which is probably a whole nother video, you've got work to do, but start now. Yeah. Start now. Throw the flag on the field on yourself. Go to people who you think can value and say, listen, we've known each other for a long time. I need more. Yeah. Like our families are close, but we've never really talked. I don't feel like I know you beyond a certain point, and it'd be a crime for us to know each other for 20 years and not really know each other. Yeah. A lot of people out there who struggle. Oh my goodness, it's one of the biggest challenges. So going and solving that with intention, again, I think is that inside work that you cannot avoid, man. And it's hard work. I'm not going to say it's easy work. It'll be some of the hardest work of your life. But what will come out of it is a version of yourself that you will have to reintroduce.
This is what we do. This is what we do. And I didn't think it would have gotten there today. But this is what we do. This is the work that we do. And when we go off to those retreats where we get to spend time with each other and really just deep dive, this is what we do. And this is something that's been happening for a while, but like James, these are parts of me that I didn't necessarily introduce to the world. And most recently, we've opened that up where we've shared with people, like we're going to start opening up these retreats to others who want to go on that journey, who want to have an experience, man, because they know that, like, hey, you're talking about me. I'm committed to my journey. We talk about the whole highway with no exits.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, let them know what does that mean.
Oh, so I'm big into visualization. It has been a powerful tool for me to accept, choke down, where I am. And so over the years, Garen and I have talked about, getting further and further and further on the tree limb, right? Recognizing that it's wobbly and bouncy. And if you turn around, there's no way you're going to get back because you're so far, it's in the dark. Yeah. The other concept we've recently talked about is this concept, you're on a highway with no exits. And the power of this analogy in my mind is you're not the only car on the road. You got to keep up with traffic. So there's a speed that's required. Yep. And the reality that I can't pull off to the side. There's no ability to stop. There's no ability to go in reverse. There's no ability to change. I've got to go with the highway, and I've got to find a way to maintain enough momentum that I'm always keeping up with what's required of me. And the speed may change. Yeah, sure. There are times when you're fast and there are times when you're slower. But what's required of you in that moment cannot be avoided. And that's why there are no exits. It's an unavoidable journey. So stop focusing on where I can get off and continue to focus on how I keep momentum, how I keep my growth, how I keep leaning into the challenges I'm having. Yeah, it's a good one.
The work, okay, the inner work. Can you imagine how if you were so fatigued and you have people around you saying, and one more, put in one more rep. And all of a sudden you catch your second win and the speed picks up again and you're going again. It is work, but it's so rewarding.
It is, man. So, as this video is being shot, you got two guys that have been through a lot this week. We're literally using a carve out of an hour in the middle of, crossing paths to do this. So this means something. It means something to me to share with your audience. A little bit about the journey, and as they get to know you and you transform the human ROI into the organization it will become and the impact you will have, man, it truly is a transformative experience and something that, to be honest, when you get used to the pain, it's fun. It's fun because exciting, you know that at the end of the day, you're gonna be better for it.
You don't always see it.
You don't, man. It's that soreness after the first 2 or 3 gym sessions, man. Like it's that all the time almost. But the growth you see in yourself, man, and that sometimes, if you're lucky, is reflected to you by people who know you. Like, man, is there something different about you?
Right.
Like, man, this is. I mean, those are the little crumbs, man, that we have to feed off of, because there may not be much in the way of like celebrations and big accomplishments, man. It really might be this grinding, slow, methodical path that you were called to, but recognize that somebody's paying attention. And I said this in a video, I may not be up by the time this goes up, but I'm not out for the millions. Right, I am truly out for an audience of one. So all the videos, the content, the time, the effort, the energy, if there's one person, just one, that may interact with a video, may interact with me, interact with Human ROI, and it changes them. It gets them to fully commit and buy in. My job is done. My mission has been accomplished. And so I will continue, as I know you will, to share these experiences, share these learnings, do it in a way that's appealing and that's, that hits at the heart and soul of where people are in their journey, in an effort to just find that audience of one.
Yeah.
We've all like run into a quote or something popped up on your phone on a particular day at a particular time, and that carries you through.
Yep.
We're adding to that.
Yep.
We're adding to the universe of content out there.
Yep.
That is really trying to drive, inspire, and transform, man. And so I'm excited about that. Again, 6 months ago, folks, I would not have been talking this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
This would not have been coming out of my mouth. But every word I said, I believe, because I'm also preaching to myself.
100%. 100%. Before we get out of here, man,
Yeah.
so where can people find you? I know we talked about this version of you, right? And that's what we wanted to focus on, not necessarily the business side of it, but how you got here. But still, let's share with people, how can they find you?
Yeah.
What can they expect from your business?
Yeah. Thank you for opening that up. So the best place to find me is EnglishSolutions.com. That website will give you a profile of who I am, my experiences, and we'll also have all my socials at the bottom that you can immediately link to. It also has a contact page, so in case you did want to get a hold of me or ask a question, you can fill out a quick form, and my team and I will respond. We'll respond to you. I am in the business of helping. I do have a background that's very specific and unique, but I'm in a business of helping. So don't expect the website to be a list of here are the 5 services I offer.
Yeah.
While there is that, there is also a opportunity through what I've been through and what I know and how I've helped companies already in my short time doing this, that speaks to a broader audience. And so we work hard to keep our audience broad and our potential client base as large as possible.
Okay. I love it. I'm gonna put it out here. So you're about to catch a flight,
I am, brother.
right?
Yeah, one of the biggest flights of my young company's career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put it out there, but much success on this journey, right? I wish you well. This will be something that I'm sure that you'll talk about. We will definitely talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
What happens on this trip. I'm sure you're going to document some of the things
Yes.
for some of us,
Yes.
right?
We'll document
Right?
it.
Because
Yep.
capturing these content moments are important for people just like you out there in the world. Again, much success on this deal, man.
Yeah. Again, not to belabor this video, but there were elements of my last 7 or 8 years that took me places I never expected, introduced me to people I never expected. And I would find myself often saying, what in the world? Why am I here?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it makes sense.
We talked about that, man.
And so this journey is one that is because of the relationships that I've had. And those relationships now producing in a different way in this new season, which is allowing my company to have a reach that a person who has been open as long as I have doesn't, man, it's blessed isn't even the word, man. The reach is truly global.
Yeah.
Truly global, to the farthest reaches of the globe.
Yeah.
And to be able to say that's already in the bag is a pinch yourself moment, man. So again, nothing is given, nothing is guaranteed. Sure. Just to be able to even say that I'm trying to we are on this journey, man,
right?
is huge, man. So but even in that, I'm gonna enjoy the experience.
Sure.
I'm gonna meet some new people.
Sure.
Meet some new team members, grow the company a little bit at the same time, and see where this takes me.
I'm curious about the how they're going to see you this time around, because again, you're representing you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, man, they loved you enough, and you left such a mark
Yeah.
that they were like, come back again. We got you.
Yeah.
That's really a testament to your personality and how you've treated people along the way. So, I mean, I would, if in our last words, I would share with you, man, wherever you are, treat people with kindness.
Yeah.
You just never know how it's going to circle back around. And even when they terminate you, treat people with kindness. You never know how things are going to turn around. Listen, man, this has been great. I appreciate it. I hope that you've been able to witness the transformation of a man, right? See how this individual has evolved. And you may not know him personally, but you know someone who has gone through their professional career in the corporate world, and they now find themselves out here in these streets, right? You now have some information, some resources that you can now share with them and connect them with Mr. English, with his company also. And again, for some of you who are already out there, I mean, you've learned a lot from today's content, how to treat people, how to navigate this world, resilience. There's so many points that we talked about here in today. And if you can't remember, you can always circle back around and watch it again. Share this video with anyone else who you know may be interested, who may learn from this. And man, thank you. Thank you, bro.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take care, man.
Yes, sir.
All right.